Hello, good day to you. This is Dr. Amihan, your humble servant in health in another part of Antique. How are you? Welcome to today's talk. I've read something new today with regards to an article that states you could live 13 years more if you do these things. And I find it quite interesting, and I am very much willing to discuss it to you and share these important facts to you, because this pertains about longevity of one's person. Okay, so let us discuss it now. It is a known fact that genetics can contribute to one's longevity. If your parents or your relatives lives longer or had more years into life, then most probably the siblings or the relatives, some of the relatives will also live longer, as long as they don't abuse their health. Likewise, there is also a big contribution with regards to the advent of new technologies and good food, medicines, and regular going to their physician or doctors, especially if they felt bad and had a regular checkup, can what we call quote-unquote prolong life, because there is medicines that can be used in order to treat the disease. And we all know that disease or infections can shorten life if not treated in the earlier stage. Okay, so there are many ways or means that you and I can do in order to extend our life expectancy. And one of the most important thing to add more years to life is changing what we eat. It can't be overemphasized that regular exercise or increased physical activity, living a stress-free or less stress life, having an 8-hour restful sleep a day translates to health gains. We all know that. According to a new published study, that changing what we eat could add to 13 years to our life, especially if we start doing it or we start changing our bad diet to good diet in an earlier age, so we can extend our life based from that study. Designing our diet, or what we call diet optimization, or having an optimized diet by consuming less red meat content and less processed meat foods, accompanied by consuming more fruits and vegetables. We all know that fruits and vegetables had a high content of antioxidants, which needed in order to have good processes in our cells and in the body tissues. Eating aside from fruits and vegetables, legumes such as your beans, peas, and lentils, as long as there is no contraindication, will provide us what we call plant-based proteins. And consuming more of whole grains rather than meal grains or processed grains. So it is good to consume whole grains, seeds, such as your chia, your quinoa, and sometimes your flax seeds, and more of proteins coming from nuts is also good, as long as what I mentioned a while ago, that there is no contraindications. Processed meats, such as in the Philippines, for example, your corned beef, your chorizo, your sausages, your hot dogs, and deli meats, and your tapa, for example, are processed meats which is rich in carcinogens because it is processed. Okay. Now, fruits and we'll go back to fruits and vegetables and nuts, and consuming whole grain seeds are also, as what I mentioned, rich in plant proteins and monounsaturated fats, which is less inflammatory in our body if you consume that. For example, is your extra virgin olive oil coming from olive plants. Okay, and they are also rich in multivitamins and minerals, which has phytochemical antioxidants, as we mentioned a while ago, which can or reduce production of reactive oxygen species or ROS in the cells during our metabolism, cellular metabolism. The consumption of the above mentioned foods have been associated with lower risk of lifestyle diseases, as the study mentioned, and also decreases chronic occurrence of chronic diseases. Likewise, it is also important to mention that increased red meat and processed meat consumption can lead to chronic diseases such as your diabetes mellitus, especially your type 2, your hypertension, hypercholesterolemia or hypertriglyceridemia, and heart disease. And it is also important that processed foods or meats can cause bowel or intestinal cancer. Okay? Now, a study of 37,000 middle-aged American revealed that 20% less likely to die or any cause if you consume plant-based food, and 29% less likely to die if you also to die of coronary heart disease if people consume more plant-based food. That is what the study have mentioned. So it will surely prolong life, or will add more life to years if most of us, if we consume more plant-based food and less, but not to avoid, but less consumption of red meat and processed foods. Okay? And it was also mentioned that a certain doctor mentioned that processed meat is classified as carcinogenic, as stated by the WHO last 2015. This is mentioned by Dr. Tim Key, an Oxford University epidemiologist, likewise a member of the United Kingdom Department of Health Scientific Committee on nutrition. Okay? So, it is very important that we consume less processed meat in order to more or less prevent or avoid formation of cancer in the body. Now, question is, what are the best strategy to improve our diet and one's health? Okay, so we mentioned a while ago that we have to consume less processed meat, less red meat, and more of fruits and vegetables and plant-based food. So that is the recommendation. Okay, and another one is changing our diet more on to the safe side, such as example for this one is your Mediterranean diet. Your Mediterranean diet had high fiber diet, high fruits and consume content, high content of fruits and high content of plant-based food with healthy whole grain seeds content food. That is the Mediterranean diet. So more or less this is quite more healthy because it is rich in vegetables. The preparations is rich in vegetables. And they said that for 5 years in a row, according to the US News and World Health, it is the world reports that this is the best, so far the best diet. You can also have your what we call your DASH diet or your dietary approaches to hypertension. So this is good for hypertension because this diet recommend high plant-based food with less fats and salt content. So you can also, number 3 is you can also try to have be flexible with your diet. Sometimes for 1 week you can have 1 day or 2 days with consumption of processed meat and red meat, and most of the number of days in a week you consume high in plant-based food and vegetable with fruits with less fats. Consume more of the less inflammatory monounsaturated fats which is present, for example, in extra virgin olive oils. Okay, so that is being flexible to your diet. You can also do your intermittent fasting. Your intermittent fasting, you can fast for 8 to 16 hours without food, just water, but be careful. You have to ask permission from your doctors. If there is no contraindication, then go on. It will also improve your blood sugars, your cholesterols, and it will lose weight and decrease fats in the body. Your belly fats will also be decreased. And you can also do your what we call calorie restriction. So you can have small intermittent intake or diet, small feedings, intermittent feedings, and with less intake of sugar and calories. It also involves plant-based food diet with less sugar, less oil, and less intake of your red meat. You can have your intermittent fasting. But before I have to reiterate this one, that before doing these things, you can, it is very important, you have to visit your doctor for good medical advice and your dietitian in order to plan properly with your diet, meal plan, and your, if you can have your medical nutrition therapy, the better. So it is very important that you have to seek professional help for that. And before ending this talk, I have to give you another bonus, that if a 20-year-old man or woman maintained a healthy diet at a younger age, at 20 years old, and maintain a healthy diet, could add 13 and 10 more years respectively in their life. So if you also is a 60-year-old man or woman with a healthy diet, could add 9 and 8 years more of your life respectively. Likewise, if an 80-year-old man or woman at their 80s, or I should say a man or woman at their 80s, could add an extra 3.5 years more if maintained on a healthy diet. That is what we call plant-based diet. So start now, change your diet for a better result. Start now, because it is very important that even few days that can be added to our life is very precious. Even one day is precious. How much more if it can add more several years to our life? We can still be prepared. Although some of us are prepared, but it is an added bonus that another year of your life is added, or even a single day of our life is added. So this is Dr. Amihan, your humble servant in health, in another part of Antique, wishing you good day. May you have the best of everything and be safe. See you.